Hello, everyone. So my presentation is about ethical AI framework for AI-powered customer service. I'm mainly focused on how companies can benefit from AI while also still protecting customers and remaining accountable. And so in this presentation, I'll cover the main risks, ethical principles, and my recommendations for responsible AI use and customer service. So what AI customer service looks like today is something like, we're often seeing that AI is being adopted widely in customer service through the use of tools like chatbots, automated emails, voice agents, and so forth. I think companies use these tools because they can respond quickly, operate 24/7, and handle repetitive, mundane tasks that, a human can also do, but is just more AI is just more efficient with these specific types of tasks. I think, you know, the use of AI tools allows human employees to focus on situations and tasks that require a lot more judgment. Um, Moving forward, I think there are definitely a lot of opportunities and risks that are involved in the adoption of AI in customer service. I think we're seeing that a lot of businesses are benefiting from the sheer speed, lower costs, and scalability of these tools, while they are, obviously very beneficial, but they also create a lot of risks. I think some of the risks are, incorrect information, privacy concerns, unfair outcomes, and unclear accountability. I think, if an AI system makes a mistake, it then is very hard to find the responsible party for that error. And I think a wrong answer can be, it can be a low stake situation like, just a chatbot giving a wrong time of, a store closing, or it can be a lot more high stakes like, a financial account or, a refund with greater consequences. So I think, in these cases, definitely a framework is needed to be, there definitely needs to be a framework for companies to be able to use AI responsibly. And I think companies, I believe companies have to remain responsible for the AI systems that they use. And I think the business chooses the technology, gives it information, and decides it what it needs to do. So when a customer interacts with the AI, they're still interacting with the company because that AI tool is the representative of the company, and in no way can AI tool not be accountable for, a certain mistake. I believe the enterprise at the end of the day needs to take full responsibility and accountability for both the errors and the when it and the situations when AI gets the right information or makes the right decision. So I think the six main principles for ethical use of AI are fairness, accountability, transparency, privacy, reliability, and human oversight. I think fairness in general terms means that the system should work well for all customers, regardless of their background. I think oftentimes we're seeing that, bias can be incorporated into the decisions that an AI system makes. In the case of transparency, I think, it is being in my understanding, it is that customers or users of a particular service or a product are aware that they're dealing with AI. And most importantly, there should always be someone responsible for what the AI does. I think, talking about the risks of adoption of these tools, um, I would personally recommend dividing customer service tasks by risks. So we have the lower impact, the lower risk type of situations, tasks like store hours, order tracking, basic, frequently asked questions, product information. There's also the medium level impact like routine account changes or small refunds, and then obviously the higher impact, higher risk issues like fraud, financial decisions, healthcare, that is involving healthcare related issues, and so on and so forth. And I think basically, I believe the higher the risks, the higher up higher up this hierarchy you go, the more human oversight is needed. Um, Talking about the human oversight and customer protection, I believe that, definitely there needs to be regulations on the legislative level. We're seeing that I believe that customers should always have a practical and an easy way to reach a human employee. I believe that humans should always be readily available at almost any level. Um, I believe that, while AI can handle routine issues, there should always be a chance for a human employee to be involved in medium to high risk situations. On the I would not really call it, human oversight. If the option technically exists, but the customer has to go through, five different menus or chatbots, I believe again, the human should be readily available at any point in the process. And so moving forward, how should success be measured? I believe that the framework to measure um, success. There definitely are clear metrics that are used to assess, a performance. And so these metrics can be something like fairness, performance gap, incident closures, data compliance, verified accuracy, escalation quality, and so on. And for example, I would measure differences in performance across different customer groups, whether serious AI incidents actually get investigated and resolved, or whether customers are being told that they're interacting with AI, and whether privacy rules are being followed and enforced. And so I think, the accuracy of these answers are what can be used to assess, a performance and measure the actual success of the AI tool in the customer service. So I think, talking about some of the real world examples, I think um, the case of Air Canada, where, we can bring up the concept of accountability. I think in this particular situation, a customer received incorrect information from Air Canada's chatbot about bereavement fares and relied on that information. And I think the important part of this case, in my view, is that it isn't simply that AI made a mistake. Human employees can also, obviously make mistakes too. I think the important part is that the information came through Air Canada's own website and customer service channel. And so the company was ultimately still responsible for what its chatbot communicated. I think that's a really important principle for businesses adopting AI. The company receives the benefits of automation, like lower costs, faster services, the ability to handle more customers. It has to also accept responsibility when the automated system gives customers bad information. I think AI should not become a way for accountability to just disappear, just shifting the blame on the chatbot and saying that it is the chatbot said it. It does not eliminate the accountability for the company. I think some of the, basic strategic recommendations that can be, implemented are the I think the first is that the company should create an inventory of every customer facing AI system that they use. I think they should know what the system does, what information it uses, which customers are interacting with it, and how it affects them. I think second, every AI use case should be classified based on risks, as we mentioned, low, medium, or high. Um, Companies should also clearly assign responsibility when something goes wrong. And I think ethical AI should be treated as an ongoing management process and not just a policy. So I think also testing accuracy, fairness, privacy, disclosure, and escalation these are all of the thresholds that AI needs to pass before the launch so that the consequences are not as grave. I think, also monitoring ethical and business metrics before and after deployment, and obviously, making adjustments based on collected data. And yeah, I think to conclude, AI can make customer services faster, more available, more efficient, and, easier to scale. But I think with that sort of power should, come a lot of responsibility because at the end of the day, companies need to remain responsible for their AI as an AI tool is a part of that business, and we cannot separate a AI tool from the business. And ultimately, I think the in customer service trust is the part of the product. I think one of the best ways of summarizing this is that, again, AI systems, they save, they can save the company a lot of time, but at the same time, um,